Hi, I love horror. Do you? Welcome to Love Horror Podcast. Originally, I was going to be looking at horror games that were released in 2014. However, that has been delayed a little as I have this time an interview or questions and answers session, whatever you want to call it, with an indie filmmaker for you. His name is Mol Smith and he has recently released a feature film called Dark Matter, which is slightly more sci-fi than horror. However, I feel this is still of interest to horror fans as a lot of it has to do with low-budget filmmaking in general. In fact, he has also released a book that is available on Amazon called How to Make a Feature Film for Less than £1,000, The Making of Dark Matter. It costs about £12 in UK or $22 US, and a link will be in the description to it. Next time, I'm planning on going back to trivia from Friday the 13th movies. Next time, it'll be parts 3 and 4. Last week, we went through trivia from parts 1 and 2. If you have any suggestions for that episode or just the podcast in general, then you can email me at lovehorrorpodcast@yahoo.co.uk. That's lovehorrorpodcast without a question mark, all one word, at yahoo.co.uk. Here is his response. To clarify, I start by asking him why he chose the genre that he did.
Okay, I try not to pick a genre really because I think genres are there for the film distributors to find a way to market their films to a particular audience and possibly for people to categorise what kind of films they like. I like films that are not genre specific but move across genres. So, for example, maybe making a film about human condition with a science fiction edge to it, or human condition with a crime association affixed it. So I tend to call the film's drama as a general genre. Now then, what is my film about? It's difficult to explain because I don't want to reveal too much about it, which might expose an answer to what the film is, which is a puzzle. The audience should be almost deliberately confused as they watch it and have to work quite hard to start to put the pieces together, which hopefully is done in an entertaining way. But it's really a multi-layered film. It's two stories, one of a smaller human condition or an attribute of human emotions and the journey that's taking, underline a much bigger scenario where the whole human race is threatened by something going on outside of our planet and on a super powerful magnitude and scale. So these two stories entwine and overlap and have a bearing, one upon the other. If I say more, I think I would threaten to reveal the end, and that's not something I wish to do. It's made with very few characters, a few special effects in CGI to make it entertaining. The film is really about a gradually darkening atmosphere and the playing out of two main characters and their stories, which is slowly revealed. Their journey through life is slowly revealed. And a third person, an alien, who's quite beautiful and enigmatic. And I think that's all I can say about it, really. Pre-production. Pre-production is probably a lot of the work, really. We work with extremely limited budgets, and I write the stories knowing the limitation of that budget, location, equipment, amount of characters we can use. And therefore the pre-production is actually writing the story as well. It's all part of it. If I write the story, I consider mostly what location we have and how we can maintain control of that. So most of the films are made using our home or the surrounding area where we've got easy access to and quite cheap to get to, not forget equipment or hire a local hall, that kind of thing. Pre-production is really working out what characters, what people will be here at particular times and what scenes could be done at any given location. So pre-production probably took about a month, I would say, if you add up all the days and the work, and indeed re-looking at the script, maybe altering the script to really fall within our limits of what we can hire and use. The filming took a year. It didn't really take a year. We knew that we would do it in tiny chunks throughout the year, according to when people were available, the actors were available. And since the crew was basically just me and my partner Leslie doing the sound, we had to do all the work. We knew that we needed actors here at a particular time and very well planned as to what scenes we were going to shoot. Because it was spread out over a year, continuity becomes an enormous problem. You put everything away instead of keeping a set laid out. You can't always shoot all the scenes in a particular location, therefore you have to tidy it up and go back to resetting up later on. Some of the actors weren't here for twin actor scenes, so you have to film it in a particular way so it looks like they're on the same day. It's problematic because weather conditions can change throughout the year, the lighting levels, you can get overcast days or sunny days. So that's one of the problems of making a movie over a long period of time in little chunks. It's probably much better to do it all in one go over a period of a few weeks. But we didn't have the luxury to ask actors to come and do that. They often have other jobs or other films that they're involved with. The problems we encountered during filming are many. Mostly the biggest one is noise. Where we film, we're near quite a busy main road. There's not a lot we can do about that to isolate that sound. In fact, most of the sound as we're filming is always spoilt by a thundering truck going past. So we have to keep stopping and starting and just relying upon luck sometimes to get good dialogue down when the scene's relatively quiet without the interruption of heavy vehicles on the road outside. The other problems are mostly my own. If you're trying to work the camera, direct the actors, move the lighting around, set up the scene, organise and direct it with just one other person doing the sound, it's an extraordinary amount of jobs to take on, and indeed that's why most films are made using an organised crew where each person has a specialisation. I try and do it a lot, and that is a problem. I get tired quickly, I get quite annoyed quickly and irritated. So many things to think of. So most of the problems are my own through missing something, often such a simple thing like not noticing that the memory card has run out and I'm not actually filming anything anymore, even though I'm seeing it on the camera, it's not being recorded. Often after doing all the shooting and the actors going away, you discover you haven't got enough cutaways when there are problems where you want to cut a scene from one take to another take smoothly without cutaways and maybe small shots of details. You find it quite difficult to do. So I try and always remember now to do a lot of detailed and cutaway shots after we shot the main sequences, or at any location shooting the main sequence in 2 or 3 different ways, then to go over and cut lots of details. To shoot lots of details. Promoting your film is a very difficult thing to do. It costs money to advertise and to promote and market. You're doing it against a background of perhaps thousands of other people trying to do the same. Marketing and advertising is what moves the world, and without the money and the big backup and backing of large corporates to do that, you're not going to be very successful. So mostly I promote the film by trying to send it to a number of festivals. Unfortunately, I believe that most film festivals are either jollies or business-making machines for the people organising the festivals, or they're promotion exercises for local film schools, especially so in America. That's my own view, true or not, or whatever you believe, that's what I believe. So I tried to stream it online. I run a few websites where I put up my own advertising. I have spent money on advertising in magazines. It's very unsuccessful. I see the film as saying that eventually come out on a streaming platform rather than DVD. And the reason for that is I believe that the disruptive new companies coming along that are reorganising the way that movies and books are distributed is changing the whole nature of the game. So I make films with the idea that ultimately they go out very cheaply on many different platforms via streaming technologies and not really via DVD or the cinema. A number of films appearing at the cinema are quite small. They're aimed at large mass audiences and often a 3D experience. So it's something you can't so easily experience on a small screen. Whereas most people have mobile phones and iPads and their computers and Xboxes, and therefore the majority of people will watch a film on one of those devices. I aim at that audience, rightly or wrongly, and I believe the future will grow that area more so than the cinema experience. It's harder to keep going than to actually get started. The reason why, I believe, is that to even begin to consider the problems of making a film, you have to be passionate or frustrated in some area about not being able to tell a story via the film device or the film method, which eventually reaches a threshold to you're compelled to go and do that in some form or fashion, or the best way you can manage it. Once you have done it, you realise how difficult a journey actually is, and how problematic it is, and how expensive it can be. There's an awful lot of things that need to be done to produce a quality film, which can be expensive. I try to make films. I think my first film I borrowed £20,000. The second film, Dark Matter, which is the one hopefully we're talking about now, cost £1,000, which is an extraordinarily low amount of money. Often if you tell people that they don't want to see your film because they think the budget's too small for it to be of any good production value, but that's not true. I think with modern technology and a lot of bright minds around, it's quite easy today to make a good quality film. Not possibly for the large cinema, but certainly for the other screens that we use, with a good story. The good story is the main thing. And I think it's very difficult once you've done one or two films to gather up the impetus and the energy to take on the whole thing again. It's going to take 18 months to possibly 3 years of your life to make a good feature film, if you're going to do it well, and if you're going to correct all the errors that come about through the process. So it's a long journey, and you're very unlikely to make any money from it. In fact, you're most likely to lose money. But anyway, some people go out and play golf or drive fast cars. They spend money on that. I spend money on making films, writing books. So that's my particular bent in life. The advice I give to somebody who wanted to have a life making films is to start doing it right now. I wouldn't suggest going to film school unless you've got lots of money and can afford what that costs these days, which I think is despairing, really. People have to go to university and pay up to £9,000 a year to learn anything. I've never gone to university. I've never gone to school to actually learn anything. Once I left my early years school, at 16, I believe the best way to learn something is to grab hold of the stuff, go and do it, and learn from the experience, constantly correcting the errors that you make from the things that you learn. Observing other people making a film or doing a task is also a good way, and being able to talk to them. I don't think it's that hard to get going. Just people today got quite cheap cameras, mobile phone cameras. You can actually make a small film with that. It won't be amazing quality, but it starts to show you the process involved. I would say anybody who wants to have a life creating film should try writing a script first, to imagine a story quite visually and see how you write that down, because that's part of the process of imagining a story and making a film. I think that's a good start, and you haven't got a camera or the equipment. Um, the other thing would be if you haven't got all the equipment to make your own film, it's to get involved. Lots of filmmakers using low budgets like myself would welcome people to come along and play a part in making a film and have a go and learn a bit and add to the experience. It's an interesting experience. So people can find spare time. They want to be a sound recorder or camera operator or continuity advisor. Look around the websites where people are making films or casting for people, or write to small budget filmmakers and ask if they can be, ask them if you can be involved in some way. What makes a film great for me is always one thing: the story. Almost every single film I watch, and I've watched tens of thousands possibly in my lifetime, I can generally guess how the film's going to progress and the end within the first 20 minutes of watching the film. Invariably a lot quicker than that. Now, I like a film when I can't do that, when I constantly watch it and I'm not certain how it's going to develop and where it's going to move to. I find that very compelling, and it makes me want to watch it. I like powerful characters. I don't mean powerful with muscle bound. I mean the character's strong. I like to see many of the traits of humanity's journey within the film and not disguised, not hidden. If somebody goes to have a shower or somebody gets out of bed, I don't want the camera moving away from their bits and their parts, because instantly I feel I'm watching a film instead of involved with the fly-on-the-wall journey of seeing these characters in their lives and the story unfold. It immediately makes it artificial to me. And a lot of American films do that, if they're aimed at an audience below 17 or 18 years of age. They do that. It doesn't have to be a film, it doesn't have to be graphic in any way. It just has to be realistic. I consider that the world cinema films made, or at least on out for public consumption, were in, say, 1970 to 1990, are some of the best films I've ever seen, often made on small budgets, intoxicating really with the storytelling and the microscopic detail of the human condition and human interaction. So I think that's what makes a film great for me. I do like epic films. I like, fantastic CGI when I go to cinema. I love Star Wars and Star Trek and, science fiction films that are epic in proportion. Who doesn't? There, but it really is a feast for the mind rather than the story. It's the extraordinary imagination that you then see coming to life through CGI. Well, that's an interesting experience, but it's not the type of film that I would be able to make with my expertise or budget. So I look towards the other things which are interesting, which is being put into a film and feeling that you're part of it and being surprised by it and constantly be entertained by the interaction between the characters or unexpected events. I love irony, and I like to sort of suggest in the films that the universe has a sense of humour, and in the journey of our lives, it executes that humour upon us, and I like to put that into my films. There's been so many films that I find inspiring, so it's impossible to list them really. Mostly it's the world cinema that I've watched that I thought were films that were very remarkably different. There's just so many. So I can't really say, to be honest, which one I find most inspiring or influential. I don't really have favourites. I have a set of favourites for different reasons. Right. Yeah, all stories as well, probably as films, have all been done over and over again. There's only so many stories you can tell. Um, I'm not certain I do keep it fresh. If you ask why do I keep it fresh, I'm not certain I do. What I try to do is to make a film that I would like to see that doesn't exist, or it may exist but it's not told very well. A good example would be I'd love to do the film. I think the film was called It, about the alien in the about the alien at the South Pole, I think it was, and it's been remade a couple. The Thing, that was it. The Thing. It's been remade a couple of times. I found that film quite interesting, and it's been done in many different ways. The stranger in our midst, the person who's not quite the one it's supposed to be. A film like that would be quite difficult to do in the setting which I originally saw it, which is, the Arctic or Antarctic Circle. But you could tell a film like that with a completely different setting scenario. So if I say we're inspired by that film, I might consider writing a story with a similar underlying theme, but in a setting that's simpler for me to manage and handle than going to the South Pole, which I can't afford to do. So to keep something fresh, I think you should make something it's not out there that you'd like to see, so you make it for yourself to see in your way and with your elements in it, and see if it appeals to other people too. I think that's what I tried to do. We're going to make another feature film probably later this year, and I haven't written the script for it yet. I've got several ideas in mind, but I'd like to consider what I would like to see and how would I like to see it, and that's how I would write the script for myself. I don't write thinking I've got this audience or that audience. It's just me. So ultimately, when I finish the film and put it away and then put it on one evening, would I enjoy it? And if I enjoy it, and I believe I've done a good job. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. And the next film we're going to make, I don't know yet, but the last one we made is Dark Matter. And it'd be nice if you took a look at that and see what you thought about it. Thank you. Bye.
So I hope you found that interesting. The website to his new movie is darkmatter.org.uk. There's no hyphen or anything, that is just one word, darkmatter.org.uk. From that website's homepage, you can click a button that says something like watch this film, and that will take you to the Vimeo page where you can pay $3.95, that's less than $4, to rent it, and the rental will last for 30 days. Unfortunately, you cannot actually purchase the movie at this time, only rent it, and it's not available from iTunes. And like I say, you just can rent it for now, but I still recommend you go check it out. The Facebook page for that film is facebook.com/darkmatter2014. Again, that is all one word, facebook.com/darkmatter2014. If you have any suggestions for that episode or just this podcast in general, then you can email me at lovehorrorpodcast@yahoo.co.uk. Thanks for listening.